বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। ভালো? ইয়েস, সাদিকা বল। সামস ভালো?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার, কেমন আছেন?
ভালো। মোহাম্মদ আবুল হাসান, আমরা সবাই ভালো আছি না ভাই? সবাই ভালো আছি তো?
জি স্যার, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ।
আল্লাহ সবাইকে ভালো রাখুন। থ্যাংক ইউ সাদিকা। ভালো থাকি সব। আর আমাদের ইয়াকেও দেখতেছি দিদি, জয়ত্রী দিদি, থ্যাংক ইউ। আদাব আদাব। আমি একটু দু এক কথা বলি, একটু মন দিয়ে শুনি আর সব আনমিউট করে রাখি, দিয়ে একটু মন দিয়ে দু এক কথা শুনি। আমার কথা শোনা যায় তো জয়ত্রী দিদি? শোনা যায়?
জি স্যার, আপনার কথা শোনা যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা,
স্যার শোনা যায় স্যার, ক্লিয়ার।
হ্যাঁ জুয়েল, থ্যাংক ইউ ব্রাদার। আসি,
কেমন আছেন?
আছি আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আছি। একটু শুনি একটা প্রয়োজনীয় কথা শুনি।
ইয়েস।
আজকে যে সেশন, এটা মূলত ওভারঅল ডিসকাশন সেশন। ইউ আর অলসো known previously and joined one class. তারপরে দুইটা ক্লাসের অলরেডি আমরা অর্থাৎ আপনারা অ্যাটেন্ড করেছেন and successfully done. আজকে হলো তৃতীয় এবং চতুর্থতম ক্লাস। So may I request also see or go through of your concerned synopsis. Synopsis যেটা আছে সেটা আমরা একটু দেখে নেই, কারণ ওভারঅল ডিসকাশন তো এটা সিনপসিসটা দেখতে হবে। দেখলে কি হবে যে আপনার you can also smoothly run or going through of your concerned lecture. এই জন্য আমাদের শ্রদ্ধেয় প্রধান নির্বাহী স্যার, আমাদের অভিভাবক সুভাষী স্যার আজকে তো তৃতীয় চতুর্থ নেবেন। এখানে মাই পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ যে সিনপসিসটা সাথে রাখবেন, হার্ড কপি রাখেন অথবা ল্যাপটপে থাকলে এটাকে যাতে দেখা যায় এভাবে রাখবেন। That means you will also bring your synopsis nearby. অন্যান্য কথা যেগুলো যে you have maximum time in your hand, my dear you all. এই জন্য ক্লাস যেভাবে হচ্ছে আলহামদুলিল্লাহ অসুবিধা হওয়ার কথা না। আমরা তো রেগুলার সেশন করবো কিছু, এই যে আমাদের সিও স্যারের যেমন স্পেশাল সেশন হচ্ছে, এইরকম স্পেশাল সেশনও আমরা অন্যান্য যে একটা ভালো যে টিচার আছেন ওনাদের নিয়ে নেব। তো এজন্য যেটা বলা যে ইউ নো নিড টু হেজিটেট ফার্দার থিঙ্কিং টু মাচ, লেখাপড়ায় অতিরিক্ত চিন্তা করার দরকার নেই। যেটা সাবলীল যায়, যেটা সুন্দরভাবে যায়, ওইভাবে যেতে হয়। মাই ডিয়ার ইউ অল, মাই ব্রাদার সিস্টার। এই গেল। আর এমনিতে যে ক্লাসগুলো চলতেছে আমি একটু যে একটা শুনি, স্যারকে আমরা একটু পরে হোক আর একটু ছাত্র আসুক, তারপর স্যারকে আমি হ্যান্ড ওভার করে চলে যাব। আর স্যার সারাদিন অফিস করেছেন, কাজে একটু স্যার নিক, নেন, আর আমরা হয়তো 5-10 মিনিট পরে স্যারকে করি। আর স্যার উইথ আস আমি দেখলাম, দেখতে পাচ্ছি কোথায়, তো কাজেই স্যার আমাদের সাথে আছেন যুক্ত। স্যার থাকুন এবং আমরা দু একটা প্রয়োজনীয় কথা সেরে নিই। আর পরে আমাদের যারা সিআর, যারা ক্যাপ্টেন জুয়েল না শামস কে? বলে অসুবিধা নাই, এমনিতে কোনো অসুবিধা বা কোনো সেশনে কোনো ধরনের কোনো ব্যর্থ হয় বা এক্সপেকটেশন ইউ রিকোয়ার্ড
না স্যার,
এই ধরনের
নো স্যার, অল ইজ ওকে স্যার।
আমরা যেভাবে লেগে থাকি, নিজের ঢাক ঢোল না আমরা বাজাই। কথা যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আমরা যেভাবে লেগে থাকি, ছাত্রদের সব কিছু বুঝি, কাজে আপনার যেটা প্রয়োজন আমরা সেটাতে কি করব যে উইল ইনশিওর, উইল অ্যারেঞ্জ and to continue until further your full expectation or completion. এজন্য যতক্ষণ না হচ্ছে আমরা এই জন্য you are lucky। আমি প্রথম মাঝে মধ্যে বলে থাকি ঢুকলে যে সাধারণত ক্লাস শেষেই পরীক্ষা হয়, and you are getting minimum, আমার মনে হয় আমি ফিক্সেশন করেছি একটা 12 থেকে 15 দিন প্রিপারেশনের সময় পাবেন। কাজে ইটস এ ভেরি গুড লাক ফর ইউ, ভেরি মচ। এই জন্য ক্লাস যেভাবে আগায় শুক্রবারটা হয়তো একটু হয়, কিছু কিছু বৃহত্তর স্বার্থে অনেক কিছু মেনে নিতে হয়। এই জন্য my request here in the interest of you and also success in these courses, that means in the exam, or join the session Friday, তারপরে একটা লেভেল হয়ে গেলে তন্দ্রে সুস্থে যাওয়া যায়। ফর্ম ফ্লাপ যেটা সেটা ভেরি সুন for information of all concerned the students, আমাদের যারা ছাত্রছাত্রী ভাই বোনেরা আছেন ওনাদের আমাদের হবে কি বলে যে ফর্ম ফ্লাপ, এটা ওই জন্য হয়তো দুই হয়ে যাবে। তো আপনারা এদিকে খেয়াল রেখেন, ওয়েবসাইটে জানা যাবে, অসুবিধা নেই। আর টাইম অনেক পাওয়া যায়, 1 মাসের মতো চলে, কত চিন্তার কারণ নেই। আচ্ছা, আর প্রয়োজনীয় কিছু কথা বলি যে ফর্ম যারা যে সাবজেক্টে, দ্যাট মিনস the students who are enrolled, specific subjects or the number of subjects, and you will be eligible to sit for the exam that those subject. তার মানে আমরা যে মানে আমাদের ছাত্র ভাই বোনেরা যারা যে সাবজেক্টে এনরোল করেছেন তারা ওই বিষয়ে পরীক্ষা দিতে পারবে। বোঝা গেল? তো কাজেই উইদাউট making enrollment or join the class further completion and have the eligibility 75% অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স যেন থাকে, 60 হলে আমরা স্পেশাল কনসিডারেশনে দিয়ে থাকি, যেটা বোর্ড এবং কাউন্সিল থেকে আমাদের ডিসিশন আছে। তো বলার যেটা যে ক্লাস আপনার ইফেক্টিভ ক্লাস, ভালো ক্লাস, যেহেতু দো দ্য সার্টিফিকেট লেভেল এক্সাম ইজ টু hold in the system what computer based MCQ exam, কাজে আপনার অনলাইন ক্লাসটা আপনার জন্য হেল্পফুল। এই জন্য আপনি ক্লাস করবেন এবং সে আঙ্গিকে আপনি এগিয়ে যাবেন। এই মাশাআল্লাহ যা বুঝছি যে তেমন হয়তো অসুবিধা হচ্ছে না বা এই ধরনের হলে আমরা আছি, ইনস্ট্যান্টলি জানাবেন। ইউ আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি ফোকাল, আওয়ার জাস্ট বেসিক অফ দি প্রফেশন। প্রথম ইয়ে যেগুলো কষ্ট করে একটু ভালো করে সুন্দর, ম্যাক্সিমাম টিচার আমাদের টিচার যে প্যানেল, এগুলো কিন্তু অনলাইন ইভ্যালুয়েশন হবে, আপনারা ইভ্যালুয়েট করবেন। আর একটা বিষয় যেটা হলো যে দে আর দ্য ক্রিম অফ দি প্রফেশন মাই ডিয়ার, যারা শিক্ষা কথা করছেন, প্রফেশনের কথা বলতেছি, অর্থাৎ চার্টার্ড অ্যাকাউন্টেন্ট নন প্রফেশনালদের কথা নয়, ওনারা প্রকৃতপক্ষে দে হ্যাভ achieved good results, further also the potential resource persons in the institute. যেটা আপনারা যারা পাচ্ছেন টিচার গুলো, এগুলো এক্সপিরিয়েন্সড, অভিজ্ঞ and experimented এবং পরীক্ষিত। কাজেই আপনারা যা বলে মন দিয়ে আগান, সুন্দরভাবে হচ্ছে। দেখতেছি কেউ কেউ সিনপসিস দিয়ে দিচ্ছেন, সাথে সাথে কেউ কেউ অনলাইন এক্সামও নিচ্ছেন, না অসুবিধা নেই। as per as good you will also sit for the exam my dear, যতদূর পারা যায় দিয়ে যাই না পরীক্ষা, তারপর ফাইনাল পরীক্ষা ওই ট্রেন ডে, ওই গতিতে, ওই মোশনে, আপনার এমনিতেই হয়তো হয়ে যাবে। এই জন্য পরীক্ষা বেশি দিতে হয়। আর আপনাদের এটা অনলাইন এক্সাম, তো ব্যাচ একটা হচ্ছে ম্যাচিং সেন্টেন্স হবে, ফিল ইন দি গ্যাপস হবে, তারপরে নোটা ব্যানি ওটা একটা ছোট্ট একটা আর্টিকেল দিয়ে দিল, যেটা কোনটা ইস অলসো মেনশন, অথবা ছোট্ট একটা কেস এক দুই আড়াই লাইন এরকম হতে পারে। তবে এখন পর্যন্ত ম্যাক্সিমামই এমসিকিউ 4টা থাকে, কোনোটা সিমিলারিটি থাকে, কোনোটা না, এটা চয়েস করতে হয়। তো আমরা আর মনে হয় একটু আমি শেষের দিকে আসি, কারণ এখন রাতটাও আস্তে আস্তে ইয়েতে যাচ্ছে, মাগরিব নামাজ অনেক আগে হয়ে গেছে। তো as what do we do also live, may Allah bless us all the harmonious religion, যে ধর্মে আমরা আছি আমরা ভালো থাকি, স্রষ্টার প্রতি অভিনীত থাকি এবং নিজ নিজ পরিবারের প্রতি, স্টিম ফ্যামিলি অলসো what with respect, belovedness and full regards to all concerned, please যে যেখানে আছে ছোটদের ভালোবাসি, বড় যারা আছে শ্রদ্ধা করি। আর একটা হচ্ছে সবাইকে নিয়ে থাকি, ভুল ত্রুটি মানুষ করবেই, এর ভিতরেই ওভারকাম করে আমাদের চলে যেতে হবে। আর আরেকটা হচ্ছে যে সব সময় পজিটিভ চিন্তা করতে হবে। তো ভালো থাকি, আর কথা না বাড়াই। জুয়েল ভাই,
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ ফর ইউর কাইন্ড ইনফরমেশন।
এই গেল। আর আমাদের অন্যান্য বোনেরা যারা আছে, ওই আমাদের অন্যান্য আরো যারা আমাদের ছাত্রীরা আছে তাদের সাথে যোগাযোগ রেখেন। ওই যখন এই যে আমি আসলাম দেখতেছি 5-10 মিনিট আছে অথবা ব্রেকের সময়, এখানে তো আমাদের নিজস্ব প্ল্যাটফর্ম, কাজেই এখানে আপনারা কথা বলবেন, আপনারা শেয়ার করবেন, অসুবিধা নাই। কোনো টিচার একটু বেশি পড়ালে একটু আগিয়ে নেবেন, আবার যদি একটু এমার্জেন্সি থাকে আরেকটু বেশি পড়াবেন, ওটা মেনে নেবেন।
ইনশাআল্লাহ স্যার, আমাদের স্যাররা স্যার খুব ভালো ক্লাস নেয় এবং আমাদের প্রতি খুব রেসপন্সিবল।
জয়েল, আমি কনসিডার করছি আমাদের সদ্য প্রধান নির্বাহী স্যার আছেন এখানে, আমরা অনেকে ভাবি অনলাইন ক্লাসটা কেমন কেমন হতো, কেমন কেমন আসলে কি রে, ভালো লাগতেছে না?
এটা বলতে গেলে আমরা উই আর লাকি যে আমরা সবগুলা ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ড করতে পারতেছি। অনলাইন ক্লাস না হলে হয়তো আমরা এতটুকু অ্যাটেন্ড করতে পারতাম না।
হ্যাঁ,
এবং আমাদের ব্যাকআপ হিসেবে অনেক কিছুই থেকে যায়, সিনপসিস থাকে, রেকর্ড ক্লাস থাকে। খুব সুন্দর, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ স্যার।
থ্যাংক ইউ, মাচ অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েটেড। এটা খুব ভালো লাগলো, এই যে আমরা লেগে থাকি আর সবকিছুতে, এছাড়া লেখাপড়া, হ্যাঁ, ইয়ে তো গুরুত্ব অনেক, এই জন্য ভালো লাগে যখন শুনি।
স্যার
আবার
স্যার আপনাদের কাছে স্যার আমার একটা রিকোয়েস্ট থাকবে। এটা আমার মাধ্যমে অন্তত আহ, আপনি জানতে পারবেন, আপনি হয়তোবা অনেককে এটা বলতে পারবেন বা সাজেস্ট করতে আপনারা ট্রাই করবেন। আমাদের যে এক্সাম 3টা হয়, এটা যেন কন্টিনিউ করে আইসিএবি।
good.
রিকোয়েস্ট
আমাদের
রিকোয়েস্ট
ইয়ে আছে, আমি তো শুনলামই, আমার ইয়েতে যেগুলো যেগুলো ইয়ে আছে করবোই। আর আমাদের প্রধান নির্বাহী স্যারও এখানে আছেন, যে ইউ আর আই থিঙ্ক মোর স্ট্যান্ডিং অ্যান্ড পাওয়ারফুল, মাই ডিয়ার। কোনো অসুবিধা নেই,
ইয়েস স্যার।
আমরা এক পরিবারের মতো। তো থ্যাংক ইউ। আর কথা না বাড়াই, হয়তো 25-এর দিকে সিনপসিসটা সাথে রাখি। আর আজকে তৃতীয় চতুর্থ, by this time you have received the concert synopsis. Please open and keep your touch or your setting and just to continue the session. Okay? এই আর আমি স্যারকে এখন ইয়ে জানাই।
হ্যালো স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, জয়ত্রী দিদি বলেন দিদি।
স্যার, আমাদের সেশনের পরীক্ষা কি নভেম্বর মাসে হবে না ডিসেম্বর মাসে হবে?
হ্যাঁ, নভেম্বরে। হ্যাঁ দিদি,
নভেম্বরে
নভেম্বরে
হবে
হবে।
স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, নভেম্বরে হবে। হ্যাঁ, আপনি ধরে রাখেন যে ফার্স্ট উইক, সেকেন্ড উইকের ভিতরেই আপনাদের সার্টিফিকেট হবে। স্পেসিফিক ডেট পাওয়া যাবে, ফর্ম ফিল আপে লেখা থাকে।
জি স্যার,
তো
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
এতটুকুই থাকলে, আর নোটিফিকেশন এক্সাম কনসার্ন ডিভিশন ওনারা জানাবেন, আর আমরাও আমাদের ওয়েতে এগুলো কি বলে যে ইস্যু করে দিব, নোটিশ জারি করে দেব, অসুবিধা নাই। তো থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ অ্যান্ড থ্যাংক ইউ অল, মাই ডিয়ার sir. I'm your Abdul Halim sir, and also request please come in the videos if you are here, and just to start of your valuable session, sir. We are ready, sir, please. আমি জুয়েল স্যার আসুন, অসুবিধা নাই। পাশে চ্যাট বক্সে আমাদের কমিউনিকেশন নাম্বারগুলো লিখে রাখছি। এই জন্য আমি রিকোয়েস্ট করব যে যারা পরে আসছেন এগুলো নিয়ে নিয়েন। আদাব স্যার। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। We are also seeing you very nicely, no problem. And all the concerned students are here and they are waiting to join the session. We will also conduct your valuable session, no problem, sir. And actually, we further see the sound system is unmute, and when you will also start the session, please open, sir, your sound system with mute, sir, please. Thank you, sir. So, Ami, Joel, I think
Yes, yes sir.
I get the picture from our guardian, including you, my dear.
Thank
দেখা হবে, কথা হবে। আর আমাদের
thank you.
অভিভাবককে রেখে গেলাম, স্যার আদব।
Adab sir.
Adab.
So how are you sir?
Good. Thank you. How are you? Are you all well?
Yes sir.
Okay. Then welcome to this session. Maybe I had one session with you before, and this is the second session I am having with you. And since you have got your regular teachers on this subject, you have learned from your regular teachers, but still then we will be discussing some of the issues which are very much conceptual. And you may share with me whatever you think about the terminologies, and later on some of the issues which will come forward. So in the first session, we had discussions on the concepts of income tax, systems of income tax, types of income tax, and other taxes, and the characteristics of a good taxation system. And later on, we also studied the incomes on which tax should be imposed. And I believe you know very well about all the problems and issues we discussed earlier. And today we'll be having a session on terminologies, the important terminologies of income tax. If you go through the book means the Income Tax Ordinance 1984, you will see that section 2 of the ordinance, it deals with all the terminologies, that means the definitions, and all the definitions are arranged in alphabetical order. That means starting with A, then with B, then with C, then with D, something like that. So this is the order of the arrangement of the terminologies. So you will have some definitions which are very important for you, because you will go through the whole of the book and maybe different chapters. And whenever you enter into a chapter, you will find the specific terminology. For example, we can say that annual value is a terminology which is very important for you to learn. Why it is important? Because this is related to section 24 of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. Section 24 means income from house property. That means whenever you are deriving an income from house property, whether it is a commercial one or a residential one, whatever it is, you have to deal with annual value. Without determining the annual value of the property, you cannot calculate the income from the house property. So that's why, in order to calculate income from house property under section 24, you need to determine the annual value first. And if you do not know how the annual value is determined, you cannot calculate the income from house property. So what is annual value then? The annual value, if you go to the definition, you will see the value of the property for which the property might reasonably be expected to let from year to year, meaning that the property should have a value and it should be reasonable, and it might vary from year to year. That means the value could be one in 1 year and it could be different in another year. So depends on the situation, maybe on various factors. So these things are very important for you to know. The value of the property for which it could be reasonably expected to let from year to year, and there is a variation. Okay, no problem. Okay, so whenever a return is submitted by an individual to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, stating his income from house property. The Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would look at the annual value of the property which has been shown by the assessee or the taxpayer. And it might not be very much reasonable in the opinion of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. So if the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes thinks that the annual value which has been shown by the taxpayer is not proper or appropriate or is not reasonable, the word reasonable I would use here. So if it is not reasonable, in that case, he can enhance the value. So now the question is that whatever value has been shown by the assessee or the taxpayer, and whatever value has been determined by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, these two are different. So the value which has been shown by the taxpayer is the rental value. And the value which has been determined by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes for assessment purposes, that would be treated as the annual value. So annual value is different from rental value. So the rental value could be enhanced by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes if he thinks that the value shown by the assessee is not appropriate or is not reasonable. What are the factors that would determine the annual value of the property? Factor could be the location of the property, the amenities available in the house or apartment or any other establishment for residential purposes. And it could be the comparison between similar properties in the same location, or could be the comparison between an apartment in a posh location with that of in an ordinary location. So if you have a property of 2,000 square feet for residential purposes, that means an apartment measuring 2,000 square feet in Dhanmondi area, and if I have another property measuring the same size in Jigatola area, and the property of the Jigatola area has got more annual value, that would not be fair in case of the property located in the Dhanmondi area, because the value of the property located in Dhanmondi must be higher than that of the property in Jigatola area. So that's why location is very important. And of course, we have to consider whether the apartment or flat is furnished or unfurnished. If it is furnished, and if another property of the same size is unfurnished, there is a difference between the annual value of the properties. So it also depends on some external factors. External factors means if the economic position of the country or situation of the country is not very favorable, in that case, the annual value of a property might vary from time to time. Let us suppose the pandemic situation. In the pandemic situation, many of the properties were left by the tenants, and they went away from Dhaka city to rural areas to live in. And in that circumstances, the landowners or the property owners, they offered lower prices for their properties. So there are a lot of examples in such situation. So whenever the property was let out at 50,000 taka per month, it was let out at 30,000 taka sometimes. So it depended on the situation of the pandemic. And in that circumstances, if the annual value of the property had been determined at a lower price than before, it was usual. There was no problem with that. So that's why depends on external factors as well, or external economic situation as well. So if there is recession in the economy, of course, the demand for the properties in Dhaka city or in divisional cities or district towns would be affected. That is what could be said about it. Now, another thing you have to point out is that whenever your rental value is less than the annual value would be determined by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes at a price higher than the rental value. But whenever the rental value has been shown by the taxpayer or the SSC at a higher price than the annual value as deemed by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, it means that the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes thinks that the annual value of this property should be 6 lakh taka per year. But SSC has shown it at taka 6,50,000. So in that case, the shown value, as it is higher than the deemed annual value, should be treated as the annual value of the property. So this should be kept in mind. And another situation could be that when the rental value is lower than the annual value, then it could be enhanced by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, depending on the appropriate factors. It could be the past record of the file. That means your annual value was determined at taka 7 lakh taka 2 years ago. Now you have shown it at 5 lakh taka. So the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would not accept it. Rather, he will enhance the annual value, or he will keep it the same figure as it was 2 years ago. So that's why it depends on the situation. So this is the first step you have to make in calculating the income from the house property. House property could be for residential purposes or could be for commercial purposes, because a property could be let out for, commercial houses. That means the shops in the market. That could also be treated as property, house property. And the income from the house property could be calculated as per Section 24 and Section 25. The income would be calculated under Section 24, but the deductions would be allowed as per Section 25. And after that, you will get the income from the house property. So up to now, I believe you have understood it, and there is no confusion with regard to that. Once upon a time, this annual value was called annual bona fide annual value, VAV, bona fide annual value. Nowadays, this is called annual value. Sometimes the value of the amenities, that means the value of sofa set, television, LED, refrigerator, or maybe your heater, microwave oven, etc., could be provided along with the accommodation. So in that case, the value of all these amenities could also be included in the annual value for this space. So it could be a total figure in order to calculate the income from the house property. So this is the first definition or terminology we are covering here. And the next point to cover here is the Appellate Joint Commissioner, the definition of an Appellate Joint Commissioner. So first of all, you have to know who are the officers of the taxes department, and I believe you have already known them. The officer would be an assistant commissioner of taxes, a deputy commissioner of taxes, a joint commissioner of taxes. And here, the joint commissioner of taxes, you can divide into two parts. That means one joint commissioner could be treated as inspecting joint commissioner, and another joint commissioner could be treated as appellate joint commissioner. So here we are discussing appellate joint commissioner. So they are of the same grade. That means an inspecting joint commissioner and an appellate joint commissioner. There is no difference between the two, but the difference only lies in the functions. So the functions of an inspecting joint commissioner is that he will supervise the assessing officers, namely the extra assistant commissioners, and deputy commissioners. So all these three types of officers are involved in the assessment process. And another type of joint commissioner who is treated as appellate joint commissioner means he is a person appointed to be an appellate joint commissioner of taxes under Section 3 of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. And his function is to hear the appeals preferred by the taxpayers or assessees. It means that whenever the assessee is not satisfied with the order given by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes or Assistant Commissioner of Taxes, he can prefer an appeal to the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes, stating his grievances. So the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes hears the case and gives a decision. So the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, after receiving the order from the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes, should revise it under Section 156. It means that his assessment will not stand valid. Rather, the order given by the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes will replace it, maybe partly or maybe fully, whatever it is. So in that circumstances, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes may not accept it legally. It means that he may not accept the order given by the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes, but his order should be effected by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. But what he can do, he can prefer an appeal against the order of the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes before the Appellate Tribunal in order to seek for redress. That could be done. Okay, so another appellate authority could be there along with the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes. There is another position which is called Appellate Additional Commissioner of Taxes. He also hears the appeals preferred by the assessees, and he is performing the function similar to that of the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes. There is no difference between the functions of the two. Only difference is with regard to their grades. That means they are of the function-wise, they are of the same category, but their scales, that is, salary scales, are a little bit different. And both of them are under the jurisdiction of Commissioner of Taxes Appeals. That means they are working under the guidance and administration of the Commissioner of Taxes Appeals. Okay. Then we go to another definition, which is called Appellate Tribunal. So Appellate Tribunal means it's a forum where there would be one president and one or more than one members. So this forum actually hears the appeals preferred by the SSCs or taxpayers. Whenever an SSC is not satisfied with the order given by the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes, he or she can go to the Appellate Tribunal in order to get the redress of his or her grievances. So this forum consists of one president, maybe one member or two members or three members, whatever. And you will see one of the members could be an accountant member and one of the members could be a judicial member. So sometimes the accountant member is recruited from the community of chartered accountants. The decision of the Appellate Tribunal is to be effected by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. And the order given by the tribunal has to be revised under Section 159. The Appellate Tribunal is in some cases the highest authority deciding a case. So when it is the highest authority, that is a question, or it could be a question in the examination. So when a case is involved with facts and figures, and there is no law point, in that situation, the Appellate Tribunal is the highest authority. To give an example, you are a businessman or you are a trader and you have submitted a statement of account to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. And there you have shown your sale at Taka 3 crores for the whole year. But the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes did not accept it, stating some reasons. Then you did not maintain books of accounts properly, or you did not maintain vouchers, receipts, etc. And for those reasons, he could not accept the figure of sales shown by you at Taka 3 crores. Rather, what he did is that he enhanced the sale to Taka 5 crores for the whole year and calculated gross profit at a certain rate. So in such a situation, your gross profit will be enhanced, your net profit will also be enhanced, and your total income would also be enhanced. So what would happen to you? Maybe you have gone to the Appellate Tribunal, Appellate Joint Commissioner, and he gave you a decision, but his decision was not actually to your expectation. So you are not satisfied with the decision given by the Appellate Joint Commissioner of Taxes. So that's why you have decided to go to the Appellate Tribunal. And now the Appellate Tribunal has given you a decision. So what was the situation? We just mentioned the situation. Your sale was shown by you at Taka 3 crores, but the DCT enhanced it to Taka 5 crores. So that was the point of grievance. And Appellate Tribunal reduced it to 3 crores 50 lakhs after hearing you. But the tribunal did not make it 3 crores Taka, as you showed. So the consequence would be you have to accept the decision of the tribunal, because there is no other forum or authority, appellate authority, to which you can prefer an appeal, because these are facts and figures. So that's why you have to accept it. That means the sale would be calculated at Taka 3 crores 50 lakhs, and gross profit would be calculated on that figure, and the DCT will arrive at the net profit. So that's why this appellate tribunal is the highest forum or last forum for cases involving facts and figures. And you cannot go to the High Court division of the Supreme Court because of this. But had there been a case involving law point, then you could go to the High Court division for further redress. But since this case does not involve any law point, that's why you cannot go to the High Court division of the Supreme Court. So that's why you have to stop here. You have to accept it. Then let us see approved gratuity fund. So this is a fund, that means a gratuity fund, which has been and continues to be approved by the board in accordance with the provisions of Part C of first schedule. If you look at the first schedule at the end of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984, you will see that provisions of Part C are there. So the provisions of Part C have to be followed by you in order to form a gratuity fund. So a gratuity fund could be formed by a company, by the corporate sector, or by the government. And if the gratuity fund is approved by the board, board means the National Board of Revenue. So generally it applies to companies, private sector. When it is approved by the National Board of Revenue, in that case, the employees who are receiving money from the fund would receive tax benefits. That means the amount which is received by an employee from this fund would be tax-free. But there is a limit to that, of course. So if it is not approved, the benefits that would be derived by the employees of a particular organization, they will not receive tax benefits, meaning that exemptions could not be provided to the amount received by an employee from the gratuity fund. So that's why the gratuity fund has to be approved and should continue to be approved by the National Board of Revenue. So you have an idea about the gratuity fund. It means that a fund would be created by the government or by the company or by the corporate sector to provide some benefits to the employees at the time of their retirement as a recognition to their contribution to the company for long 30 years or 32 years or 35 years, whatever it is. So in the government as well, you will see the same thing. Whenever a government servant retires from service, he or she is given a gratuity fund or benefit from the gratuity fund. So if you have an idea about the gratuity fund, you can actually advise the client whenever he or she approaches him with regard to the calculation of the gratuity fund or whether it will fall under the grip of taxation. That means whether the fund received by the employee would be liable to pay taxes or not. And other things would also be included in the questions. So whenever a government servant retires from service, you have to calculate the gratuity fund as well as the pension. So an employee is entitled to having pension money from the government, and that pension money is for 1 month. 1 month means for each month, and he will continue to receive the pension money every month as long as he is alive. And the gratuity money, which is received by him from the government, is paid in one go. That means once, not more than once. So it will depend on the basic salary given to the employee at the time of his retirement. That means just before his retirement. If his salary just before the retirement is, say, for example, 82,000 taka, which is the highest pay of the government, you can calculate the figure that the employee would be receiving from the government in terms of pension and in terms of gratuity money. So let us suppose, as I have said to you, that the basic salary of an employee is 82,000 taka. In that case, you have to calculate the pension money and the gratuity money. So what would be the pension money first, and what would be the gratuity money? You can calculate both the figures together. First of all, 90% of this 82,000 has to be calculated. And if you calculate 90% of 82,000, it means, I believe, 73,800. If you just press the calculator, you will find like that, 73,800, which is 90% of taka 82,000, the latest basic pay. So 73,800, you have to divide it into 2. So it should be 36,900. So 33,900 would be the pension money you will be receiving every month. But of course, there would be increment to that each year, and you will be given the medical allowances along with that. And another 36,900, which should be calculated by 200 and multiplied by 230 in order to calculate the gratuity fund. So if you calculate 36,900 by multiply 36,900 by 230, you will get a figure which is more or less 87 lakhs something. So that 87 lakhs something would be treated as your gratuity money, which is paid to you once, not more than once. And the client would ask you whether this is taxable or not. But the income tax ordinance says that this money is exempted from tax because 2 crores 50 lakhs, this amount from the gratuity fund would be exempted from tax. So you can actually advise the taxpayer to invest his gratuity fund in specific savings instruments. That is the function that a chartered accountant would provide to the taxpayer. You can advise him where to invest, which would be the most profitable one. So there are some instruments like pension Sanchoy Patra, family Sanchoy Patra, 3 monthly profit sharing, Sanchoy Patra, etc. All these are the best instruments the government is offering to the taxpayers. So you can advise accordingly. So that is the gratuity fund from which an assessee can derive a benefit. And then you see the approved superannuation fund or the pension fund. And pension fund is more or less equivalent to the superannuation fund. And as I said to you that there is a pension fund, and pension money is also non-taxable, exempted from tax. But if the pension fund is not approved by the National Board of Revenue, in that case, you will not get that benefit. That means your pension money will be taxed if you do not receive the pension money from the pension fund, approved pension fund. So that is very important for you. And the pension fund could be formed in accordance with the provisions of Part A of the first schedule. You will see the first schedule at the end of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984, and you have to follow the procedure there. And you have to submit before the Commissioner of Taxes of your zone under whose jurisdiction you fall, and he will send it to the National Board of Revenue for approving of the fund. So if the fund is approved by the National Board of Revenue, in that case, you will be given the benefits of the pension money. That means the pension money, whatever you will be drawing from the company or from the corporate sector or from the government, whatever it is, would be exempted from tax. Then the SSC. You have to know what an SSC is. I believe you know it already. If you have an idea, you can give me an idea about that. Okay, SSC. Any idea about the SSC?
Meeting what? Meeting continuous.
SSC is a very common term in the income tax arena. That means those who are involved in the income tax arena know it very well. The income tax officer, the taxpayer, the ITPs, the chartered accountants, cost and management accountants, etc. They know what an SSC is. But general people, they do not know what an SSC is. They say that I am paying taxes, so I am a taxpayer. So that term is very common among the general masses. So whenever we will call a person to be an SSC, so SSC could be any person. SSC could be a firm, could be a company, could be a Hindu undivided family, could be an association of persons, could be an artificial juridical person, could be a fund, could be a local authority, could be a city corporation, etc. All these are SSCs. But when he or she or it becomes an SSC, when somebody is liable to pay taxes, he is an SSC. When somebody has an income crossing the non-taxable limit, that means you know that you have got a non-taxable limit up to 3 lakhs. Maybe in general cases, you are not supposed to pay taxes. So if you do not cross that limit, you are not an SSC. But if you cross that limit, you are an SSC, of course, because you are supposed to submit the tax return. So whenever you have paid taxes, you are an SSC. Whenever you have submitted a return, you are an SSC. Whenever you have obtained a TIN certificate from the National Board of Revenue, then you are also an SSC. If you are assessed in the immediate past year, 2 years before, 3 years before, you are also an SSC. Whenever you are entitled to having a refund money from the government, you are an SSC. Whenever you are buying a car and you obtain the TIN certificate, you are an SSC. And if a notice has been served upon you by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes for any reason, for penalty, for tax, or for any other issues or purposes, you would be treated as an SSC. So these are the SSCs, and you can define it properly whenever you are asked. And then come to the point, assessment year. What is an assessment year? This is a period of 12 months starting from the 1st day of July of the fiscal year and ending on the 30th day of June of the same year. Meaning that 2022 and 2023, the assessment year is there. And it has started from the 1st day of July 2022, and it will come to an end on the 30th day of June 2023. That means the same fiscal year. And the whole of this period would be treated as an assessment year. That means the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes can make an assessment on the income of an individual who earned income from salary, income from business, income from any other source for the income year 21-22. So for the income year 21-22, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would be assessing his income in this assessment year. But yes, of course, the income of an SSC could be assessed for other income years as well, if it was not assessed before. So that is the difference. And next definition could be Assistant Commissioner of Taxes. An Assistant Commissioner of Taxes, as we just focused on it before, he is a person who makes an assessment of the income of an individual or a company or any other person, whatever it is, as per the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. So Assistant Commissioner of Taxes is the entry point to the income tax department, and he is the class 1 officer. Under him, there is no class 1 officer. Another type of officer is there who is known as extra assistant commissioner of taxes, but that gentleman is not a class 1 officer. Rather, he is a class 2 officer. There are 3 types of officers who are responsible for making assessments. One is deputy commissioner of taxes, another is assistant commissioner of taxes, and another is extra assistant commissioner of taxes. All these 3 categories of officers are treated as assessing officers. And in the definition, you will see that the deputy commissioner of taxes includes a deputy commissioner of taxes, an assistant commissioner of taxes, and an extra assistant commissioner of taxes. And assistant commissioner of taxes, as I have said to you, that it is the entry point to the income tax department. It's recruited by the Public Service Commission upon receiving requisition from the National Board of Revenue. But there are some assistant commissioners of taxes who are promoted from the position of an extra assistant commissioner of taxes. So 2 types of assistant commissioners of taxes are there, but most of them are recruited directly by the PSC, Public Service Commission. Then come to the definition of a Bangladeshi company. Bangladeshi company means it's a company, of course, registered and incorporated under the Companies Act 1994, or incorporated under the Companies Act 1913. So a company could be a private limited company or could be a public limited company. So you should know the features of a private limited company and the features of a public limited company. Private limited company could be formed with at least 2 shareholders, and the maximum number of shareholders could be 50. And in case of a public limited company, the minimum number of shareholders could be 7, and the maximum number of shareholders could be unlimited. Unlimited means it should be decided by the number of the shares. So the total number of shares could be the total number of shareholders, but it could be less, but it cannot be more than that. That's the important point you have to remember. The Memorandum of Association and the Articles of Association are the 2 important documents for formation of a company. In the Memorandum of Association, everything is written about the company. That means the name of the company, the location of the company, the capital of the company, the liability of the company, and some other issues, of course. So there are 5 clauses actually written in the Memorandum of Association. Number 1 clause is name clause, number 2 clause is object clause, number 3 clause is situation clause, number 4 clause is capital clause, and number 5 clause is liability clause. So these are the 5 clauses which are mentioned in the Memorandum of Association. So the name of the company should be unique. Unique means it should not clash with another name. That means common name. That means a particular name cannot be used for 2 companies. It would not be accepted by the Office of the Registrar of Joint Stock Companies and Firms. And the object of the company has to be enumerated. That means what would be the objective of the company? Whether you are doing a trading business, or you are doing a manufacturing business, or you are an importer, or an exporter, or you are a commission agent, whatever it
Sir,
is.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if a company will try to transfer his location, in that case, what the company would be maintained? Any procedures?
That is to be decided by the Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms. It has to apply to the Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms, stating the reasons why it should relocate to a particular place. And if the Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms approves of it, then yes, it could be relocated. Otherwise, it cannot. Because the registered office should be located or situated in Bangladesh or in a particular place, it has to be mentioned every time. And when the registered office of a company is not in Bangladesh, it means that it's not a Bangladeshi company. So that's why the registered office or location of the office is very important for a company. So that's why the Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms is there, and he is the chief of the office of the Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms, will decide as to the relocation of the company. Okay, and Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms is under the Ministry of Commerce, and he is sometimes a joint secretary to the government or an additional secretary to the government. And he actually incorporates the companies and also takes returns from the companies every year. So that is very important for you. That means for the chartered accountants. Whenever a company is incorporated under the Companies Act 1994, the company has to submit the annual return to the Register of Joint Stock Companies and Firms. And it has to hold an annual general meeting. And in the annual general meeting, it will require the audited report, statutory audited report, which will be conducted by the chartered accountants. So that's why the position of a chartered accountant is very important for the companies in case of preparing the audited reports. And the audited reports have to be placed in the annual general meeting for decision making. How much dividend will be declared by the annual general meeting, and whether the company would declare dividend out of the accumulated profits of the previous years, or even the company has got or incurred losses for the current year, whether it could declare a dividend or not, whether bonus shares would be issued by the company or not, whether rights shares would be issued by the company or not, etc., etc. So many decisions would be taken. So the formation of a company, management of the company, administering the company, and conducting audit into the company's accounts, etc., are very important for people like you when you are a chartered accountant. Okay. Then come to the next definition, that is banking company. It is almost like the company because it is regulated by the Banking Companies Act 1991. But the objective of the banking company is to take deposits from the public and lend to the public, lend to the entrepreneurs, lend to the companies, etc. So the main purpose is to deal with taking deposits and lending money at certain interest rates, etc., and to deal with the foreign currencies. And then come to another definition, board here. Board, whenever we mention board, it means that it is the National Board of Revenue, nothing else. There could be so many boards, water board, electricity board, and many other boards are there in the country. But when board is mentioned here in the income tax ordinance, it means the National Board of Revenue, NBR. You know it as NBR. Then come to the definition of business. Business includes any trade, commerce, or manufacture, or any adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce, or manufacture. It means that it could be trade, it could be any venture, but it could involve profit-oriented motive. So if there is a profit-oriented motive here in any manufacturing concern or trading concern, it could be business. You can manufacture some products and sell them for profit, or you can import some products and sell them for profit. Or you can do some trading, that is buying products from the domestic market and also selling the product in the domestic market. Maybe you are buying from one place, but you are selling the products in other places. So this kind of activities, when the motive of profit is there, in that case, it could be treated as business. Okay. Then come to another definition, which is important, which is called capital asset. You know that there are so many assets. Could be liquid asset, could be current asset, could be fixed asset, could be circulating asset.
Sir, circulated assets mean?
Circulating asset, that means which asset, some asset which you are procuring, but then you are converting them into some processes and you are making the final product. So it's circulated in the process, mainly in the manufacturing process.
Yes, sir.
And could be intangible asset. So like goodwill is an intangible asset. So there are different types of assets, but here we are trying to learn capital asset. Capital asset is necessary to learn what are the capital assets. Generally, by capital asset, if I am not an accountant, I would say that capital asset means fixed assets like building, land, machinery, etc. All these are capital assets. So those will be used in the business for a longer time. And you have invested comparatively a big amount of money in buying or procuring the assets. So these are treated as capital assets. But why it is necessary for income tax purposes, that is the most important thing to consider here. Can you tell me why it is important to know about the capital asset? That could be a question in your examination, in the certificate level examination. Why capital asset is necessary for you to understand? Why should you identify the assets as capital assets? Can you tell me about it?
Sir, capital assets like fixed assets, যে সকল অ্যাসেট হচ্ছে 1 বছরের অধিক সময় ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ফ্যাসিলিটিস দেয়, যেমন হচ্ছে ল্যান্ড, প্রপার্টিজ, প্লান্ট অ্যান্ড ইকুইপমেন্ট, মেশিনারিজ, এটসেট্রা।
Okay, but as I said to you that fixed assets, of course, building, machinery, plant, etc., which will generate revenue, as you have said.
Yes.
Which will generate revenue. These are capital assets, of course, fine. But I want to know why capital asset is necessary for you to learn, to understand. From the income tax point of view, definitely. So if I ask a question like this, from the income tax point of view, why should you understand whether an asset is a capital asset or not? The question is why. Tell
Sir,
me
I can't
what you
reply your question. Please explain it deeply.
Okay, no problem. You should learn, or you should know, which asset is a capital asset and which asset not. Because whenever an asset is sold or disposed of, a capital gain may arise, because under section 31, you are supposed to calculate the capital gain tax or capital gain. So capital gain is subject to taxation.
Yes, sir.
So,
সেকশন কত বলছিলেন স্যার? আন্ডার সেকশন
31.
31. Thank you, sir.
31, yes. So income from capital gains. The section says about income from capital gains. So how capital gain is determined? Capital gain is determined when the capital asset is transferred. Transferred means sold out or exchanged, or whatever it is. So I have got a building and I am selling the building out to you. So a capital gain may arise from this sale or from this transaction. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So if the asset is not a capital asset, say for example, you have got some stocks. Stock means stock of materials or stock of clothes, etc. You have got some stocks. So if you have got some stocks and if you sell them out, will there be any capital gain out of that? You are selling your stock, that is very common, because you are a trader and you are buying, say, rice, you are buying pulses, you are buying onion, etc., etc. So all these are your stocks and you are selling them off and on. So from the sale of these stocks, will there be any capital gain out of the sale? No, there won't be any capital gain, because these are not actually capital assets. Since these are not capital assets, that's why capital gain will not arise. That's why you must know which are capital assets, which are not. So the definition of capital asset is given under Section 2 of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. And the subsection is 15. So capital asset means property of any kind held by an assessee, whether or not connected with his business or profession. So capital asset could be any asset. It could be connected with the business of the assessee or with his profession. But it could also not be connected with his business. But the main condition is that assets will not be included as capital assets or in capital assets, which are like stock in trade, not stocks and shares, but stock in trade, consumable stores, raw materials, held for the purposes of business or profession. As I said to you before, that if you have got a stock of some materials or raw materials or finished goods, whatever it is, and if these are for the purposes of resale, in that case, these will not be treated as capital assets. And also personal effects. Personal effects will not be treated as capital assets. So which personal effects? Personal effects are movable properties. Properties which could be moved from one place to another place, which you can carry. Your jewelry, your watch, your bicycle, your motorbike, your car, etc. All these will be your personal effects, but these should be used for your personal purposes, not for the purpose of your business or profession. So when it is not used for your business or profession, this will not be treated as capital asset. But when it is used for your business or profession, it would be treated your capital asset. It means that whenever you maintain a card and you are a doctor, you are going to your chamber or you are going to the diagnostic center for consultation purposes, in that case, your car would be treated as a capital asset. But if you do not use the card for your professional purposes, then it will not be treated as your capital asset. So since your car is a capital asset, and if you want to dispose of it in future, then a capital gain is likely to arise. But if it is not used by you for
স্যার
business or
এখানে স্যার
profession-
আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল স্যার।
Yes, please.
স্যার মাঝে মধ্যে কোম্পানি তার এমপ্লয়িকে ঊর্ধ্বতন একজন এমপ্লয়িকে কার দেয় এবং সেখানে কন্ডিশন রাখে যে আপনি যদি কার নিতে চান তাহলে কোম্পানি আপনাকে 50% প্রোভাইড করবে আর 50% আপনি প্রোভাইড করবেন। ওই ক্ষেত্রে কোম্পানির ক্যাপিটাল তো হচ্ছে 50%, তাহলে কোম্পানির ক্যাপিটাল অ্যাসেট কি ওই 50% হবে নাকি কারের 100% ভ্যালু হবে?
That is a different condition because a car could be provided to you by the company free of any cost, or a car could be provided to you and the company can pay you 50% of the value of the car, and another 50% could be provided by you. So you are doing a profession. You are an employee of the company.
Yes.
So you are using the car for going to office and going back to your residence.
Yes, sir.
But the value of the car is determined as per contract between yourself and the company. But afterwards, the car will be yours. So it will be your own car then. The ownership would be yours. And again, you will be using the car for your professional purpose. So afterwards, when you are selling the car, you are entitled to having a capital gain in general conditions. If the car is not a bad one or has not fallen into an accident and has been damaged, etc. If not, in that case, you can sell the car at a figure where you can have a capital gain. So, if the car is owned by you 100%, and if it is not used for going to office, then capital gain will not arise. Even if the car has been given to you by the company, it will definitely give you for going to office. But if the company gives you a car for your personal purposes, that could be different treatment. That could be different treatment means whenever you receive a car from the company free, in that case, this is a benefit you have been given by the company and it would be treated as a perquisite. So that's different issue. I'm not going to that issue. My focus is on capital gain. And when capital gain would arise, it will arise when the car or vehicle or any other asset used by you for business or professional purposes. And whenever you are selling the asset in future at a profit, it means the capital gain will arise out of that. And you have to pay taxes on that capital gain. That's the whole purpose. Am I clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you should remember that the movable properties which are not used for business or profession, they are not capital assets. But property which is related to business or not, those are also not capital assets. But whenever a property has been used for your business or profession, then it will be treated as a capital asset. And it's very likely that upon disposal of the capital asset, you are supposed to gain some capital gain. And you are supposed to pay some taxes on the capital gain. That's the whole thing you must know. Then come to the definition, chartered accountant. So chartered accountant, you know it very well. You are a student of chartered accountancy. So chartered accountant means a chartered accountant as defined in the Bangladesh Chartered Accountants Order, 1973, the Presidential Order number 2 of 1973. So the Presidential Order number 2, 1973 was passed on the 6th of January, 1973 by the then President of Bangladesh. And through that order, the ICAB, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh, was established. And the profession of an accountant has been being regulated through that order. And you have been regulated by that order. And your certificate is given under that order. Your examination is controlled under that order. And your profession is also regulated by that order. So you remember the President's Order number 2, 1973. Then go to the definition. Commissioner. Commissioner means there are many commissioners. Could be a ward commissioner. Could be a commissioner in the anti-corruption department. Could be a commissioner in a particular commission, maybe trade and tariff commission, etc. But here, by commissioner, we will mean commissioner of taxes. That is more important here. And commissioner means a person appointed to be a commissioner of taxes under Section 3 of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. Here also one thing you have to remember, that when a person is given current charge of a commissioner of taxes, he would also be treated as a commissioner of taxes. So by current charge, it means that a person who is an additional commissioner of taxes, he has not been promoted to the rank of a commissioner of taxes, but he has been given the responsibility of a commissioner of taxes, which means current charge. Current charge is given to a person when promotion is not affected. So he could be a commissioner, current charge. So that person is also treated as a commissioner from the point of law. That is, law recognizes him to be a commissioner. So all the functions he will be performing will also be legal and valid in the eye of law. So this is a commissioner, and there could be commissioner appeals as well. Commissioner appeals is also a similar type of person and appointed to be a commissioner appeals under Section 3. And his scale of pay will also be same. But his function is different. That means he actually hears the appeals preferred by taxpayers or assessors. And the decisions given by the Deputy Commissioners of Taxes, that means assessment orders made by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, are contested by the taxpayers or assessors. And the Commissioner of Taxes Appeals gives the decision with regard to the assessment orders framed by the Deputy Commissioners of Taxes. And when the order is passed by the Commissioner of Taxes Appeals, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes replaces his order with the order given by the Commissioner of Taxes Appeals. So that is very important. And Commissioner of Taxes is the head of the zone, and Commissioner of Taxes Appeals is also head of a zone which is called appeal zone. So there are two types of zones. One is administrative zone, which is called taxes zone, and another zone is there which is called appellate zone. So this is the definition of Commissioner of Taxes Appeals. And then the definition of a company. Company, as we have already discussed, Bangladeshi company, so it's similar to that. And company could be a public limited company or a private limited company. Nowadays, there is another type of company which is called single man company or one man company. And a company could be a foreign company as well, or a Bangladeshi company. So that's why definition of the company has been given separately here. So when there is a foreign company, it means that registered office of the company is located outside of Bangladesh. So that's why it is not a Bangladeshi company. And you have to know some more features of a company. So company could be a combination of different persons. So you know person, what a person means under the income tax ordinance. Tell me what a person is.
Sir, please repeat this question.
What a person is. When I say a person, what does it mean?
স্যার আপনার পুরো কোশ্চেনটা স্যার আমি ধরতে পারি নাই। হ্যালো।
Yes.
Dear sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can't hear your full question. Please repeat this question.
I am asking you, what do you mean by a person? P-E-R-S-O-N, person. You hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you mean by a person?
A person could be a company. A person could be an individual person.
Yes. Tell me, correct?
স্যার এর আগে স্যার কি বলছিলেন সেটা আমি নেটওয়ার্কিং সাপোর্ট ভালো ছিল না, এইজন্য এর আগের ইয়েটা আমি ধরতে পারি নাই।
Okay, I said to you that you are discussing actually company.
Yes, sir.
But company, as I said to you before, that there are two types of companies: public company, private company, etc., etc. One-man company could be another type of company.
Yes.
But when there is an association or combination of persons,
Yes.
called by whatever name, if any one of such persons is a company,
Yes, sir.
huh?
Yes, sir.
So then, what did you call it? So when there are two persons, say for example, Mr. X, Mr. Y,
Yes.
are there, they are doing
Yes.
business. So it's a contract. So you can say
Yes.
it's a partnership, or you can say this is a firm.
Yes.
Okay. So when
Yes,
one
sir.
person is doing business, he is an individual.
Yes.
But when there is a firm and there is an association of person and there is a company,
Yes.
these three types of persons are doing business together.
Yes.
That means in the association of persons, they are calling it an association of persons, but among the associations of persons, there is an individual, there is a firm, and there are some people who actually are members of the association, and there is also a company.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
all these people are doing business together. So the most important thing to remember is that when there is a company in the association of persons, in that case, it cannot be said an association of persons, rather it should be said a company
Yes, sir.
for income tax purpose. So that's what I was actually discussing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. And as I said to you, that a company could be a domestic company or could be a foreign company. So an association or body incorporated by or under the laws of a country outside Bangladesh, that would also be treated as a company. If it is not incorporated here, no problem. if it is incorporated outside of Bangladesh under any law of a particular country, in that case, it would also be treated as a company. And a foreign association or body which is working in Bangladesh for any purpose, in that case, the National Board of Revenue can treat it as a company if it thinks so. So it can issue an order stating that this association or body, which is a foreign association or body, is treated as a company. So that is also possible. So you understand what I mean?
Sir.
You understand
Hello.
what I say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then let us move to the definition cooperative society. Cooperative society, you understand generally what a cooperative society means?
Yes,
So,
sir.
Yes, tell me.
Cooperative society means like hospital, clubs,
May not be.
hospital, clubs,
May not
etc.
be. Hospital may be a company.
স্যার হসপিটাল কি কোঅপারেটিভ সোসাইটি ওইরকম টাইপের মধ্যে থাকে না, যেমন গভর্নমেন্ট কিছু হসপিটাল আছে না ওইরকম?
Generally not. Generally not, because
yes sir,
cooperative society means, say for example, in a village, so many people are producing milk and they are supplying the milk to a society.
Yes.
And the society is responsible for selling the milk to some traders. And the value of the milk will be distributed among the members of the society. So it's just joint efforts in order to facilitate your business. You are an individual, so you are producing some milk, but it is sometimes not possible for you to sell the milk to a trader of a city or to a trader of a town. So that's why it's difficult for you. In that case, you are supplying the milk to the society and society takes the responsibility of selling the milk. So it's a matter of cooperation among the members of the society. So a lot of people are there, and this society is actually registered under the Cooperative Societies Act 2001. So there is an act which is called Cooperative Societies Act 2001. Under that act, a cooperative society is formed and registered. So when the cooperative society does business, of course, it can submit a return showing its income and it could be taxed. Then come to the definition of cost and management accountants. The cost and management accountants, which is similar to chartered accountants, but there is of course a difference between the two, because a chartered accountant can do statutory audit and they undergo internship program under a firm for 3 years or sometimes more. But the cost and management accountant, they deal with the costing of a manufacturing concern, and they do not have any internship program, or they do not have any auditing function. So that's why there is of course a difference between the two.
yes sir. আচ্ছা স্যার, দুইটাই তো ডিফারেন্ট, বাট both are professional, both are working at professional stage. In that case, both are same or not?
They are not actually same. Why not same? Because you can be appointed as a statutory auditor, but they are not statutory auditors. When
Yes.
there is a publicly listed company, in that case, statutory audit is a must. And that statutory audit has to be conducted by a chartered accountant, not by a cost and management accountant. And another thing is that you can work with an organization, that means a company or corporate sector or government. They can also work with a company, corporate sector, or any other private organization, whatever it is, even with the government. But the difference is you can practice as an independent chartered accountant. You can form a firm, or you can have a single proprietorship firm under which you can practice chartered accountancy. So you can do your independent profession as well as you can work with an organization. So you have got that liberty. You have got two options, but they do not have two options. They cannot practice as a cost and management accountant, but they can do consultancy service. That is a different thing. If somebody says that I am doing consultancy service for a manufacturing concern, yes, they can do that, but not any audited function. So that's why there is a difference between the two. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Then come to the definition of dividend. What is a dividend? And you know it very well, I hope. Tell me, make me understand what a dividend is.
Dividend mean the company's whole ডিভিডেন্ড হচ্ছে স্যার একটা কোম্পানি যখন তার সকল এক্সপেন্স কস্ট ইয়ে করার পর বা লায়াবিলিটিস দেওয়ার পর যাবতীয় তার ক্যাপিটাল থেকে যাবতীয় এক্সপেন্স লায়াবিলিটিস দেওয়ার পর অবশিষ্ট যেই অংশটা থাকে ওই অংশটাই হচ্ছে ডিভিডেন্ড।
এটা কেমনে হয়?
স্যার
How can you say like that?
স্যার ডিভিডেন্ড হচ্ছে স্যার একটা প্রতিষ্ঠান তার প্রফিটের যে অংশটা শেয়ার হোল্ডারদের মধ্যে বন্টন করে দেয় সেটাই তো স্যার ডিভিডেন্ড।
That is okay. Profited যে অংশ, the part of the capital that is distributed among the shareholders, that is called dividend. It is okay now.
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
So the profit that is earned by a company, a part of the profit is paid as tax. So you have got the profit, and sometimes we call it before tax profit, and sometimes we call it after tax profit. So from the after tax profit, you pay dividend. So you pay dividend. How you pay dividend? The decision is taken in the annual general meeting. So the general meeting decides what percentage of profit would be given as dividend. Maybe 10%, maybe 15%, maybe 20%, whatever it is. Then it is declared there, and afterwards dividend warrant is issued. And the shareholders are receiving dividend warrants from the company. and the warrant is actually deposited into their accounts, and the money actually gets transferred to the account of the shareholder. So that's the way how dividend is declared by the company. So generally, what we say is that the company makes profit, and you can see the profit in the profit and loss account or profit and loss appropriation account, whatever it is, and then dividend is declared. So after payment of the dividend, whatever remains, it is kept in the company as retained earning. So that is also another part of the profit. But dividend could be paid out of the accumulated profit. It means that you don't have to earn profit for this current year. You can also pay dividend out of the profits that have been accumulated in the company. Maybe the accumulated profit of the previous year or 2 years before. You can also declare dividend out of that. But dividend has to be declared out of the accumulated profit. If you do not have any accumulated profit, then you cannot declare your dividend. So, for example, if the company makes a loss this year and the company still then wants to declare a dividend, it can declare a dividend if it has got accumulated profit in the previous years. So that could be one of the questions. Question is, when the company makes a loss or incurs a loss, still then whether it can declare dividend. The answer should be yes.
স্যার কোম্পানি যখন লস হয় তখন এই ডিভিডেন্ড যারা জেনারেল শেয়ার হোল্ডার তারা সেই লসের ইয়েটা এই বছর ডিভিডেন্ড নিবে না, অথবা যে তাদের যে প্রিভিয়াস ইয়ারের যে রিটেন্ড আর্নিংস ছিল সেখান থেকে কোম্পানি বোর্ড অফ ডিরেক্টরস চাইলে দিতে পারে, অথবা তারা নাও নিতে পারে।
Yes, that is what I am telling you now. So if the company does not make any profit, or if the company incurs a loss, it can still declare a dividend if it has got an accumulated balance of profit for the previous year. So it depends on the balance of the accumulated profit. If it has got accumulated profit, then it can declare dividend, even if it does not make any profit for the current year. So that is what I am saying. Okay, so definition says that any distribution by a company of accumulated profits, whether capitalized or not, if such distribution entails the release by the company to its shareholders of all or any part of its assets or reserves. So the same thing what we discussed now. And any profit remitted outside Bangladesh by a company not incorporated in Bangladesh under the Companies Act 1994, that would be treated as dividend. When a company is not incorporated in Bangladesh under the Companies Act 1994, and when this company remits profit outside of Bangladesh, in that case, it will be treated as dividend. And another important thing or point you should remember, that any payment by a private company of any sum by way of advance or loan to its shareholders, or any payment by any such company on behalf or for the individual benefit of any such shareholder, to the extent to which the company in either case possesses accumulated profits. So this is actually applicable to a private company. Whenever there is a private company and the private company is making a payment by way of advance or loan to a shareholder, that means the private company is providing loan to a shareholder or providing advance to a shareholder, or making a payment on behalf of the shareholder. It means that you need to pay something to any other person, but you are not making the payment, rather the company is making the payment on your behalf. So if the company makes the payment on your behalf, it means that it is a dividend. It should be treated as a dividend. But the company must have accumulated profits to that extent, meaning that if the company makes a payment to the extent of taka 20 lakhs on your behalf, the officer, that means Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, would treat it as a dividend, but taka 20 lakh at least should be kept in the company as an accumulated profit. If there is an accumulated profit up to taka 20 lakhs, then this amount of money would be treated as dividend. But if the company does not have that amount of money in the balance sheet, then it cannot be treated as dividend. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But another point you have to remember, an advance or loan has been given to a shareholder in the ordinary course of its business. And you can say that, okay, since advance has been given by the company to the shareholder, it should be treated as dividend. But when the ordinary course of the business of the company is lending money, that is substantive or substantial part of the business of the company is lending money, in that case, this will not be treated as a dividend. That means the purpose of the company or the major business of the company is lending money to people. So in that case, whenever money has been given to the shareholder, it will also be treated as not a dividend. Rather, this is just lending, or the person has borrowed money from the company. So,
স্যার এই জায়গাটা স্যার ক্লিয়ার না স্যার।
Okay. Say for example, you are a chartered accountant and you are a shareholder of a private limited company. So the company, it has given you an advance or a loan or any amount of money on your behalf to another person. That means you have been given an advance, or you have been given a loan, or a payment has been made to somebody else on your behalf by the company. So what does it mean? It means that you have been given an advance or loan from the company.
Yes, sir.
When I see that this company's business is lending money to people, whatever profit has been earned by the company, 90% of the profit has been earned through lending money to people and receiving interest from them. So what does it mean? It means that
Yes, sir.
the business of the company is to lend money. So when the main business of the company is to lend money, and the company has given you money as well as a shareholder of that company, in that case, this will not be treated as dividend. Rather, this will be treated as a loan or an advance.
Sir, clear, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Welcome. Okay, then let us move to another definition. Employee. What do you know by an employee or understand by an employee?
স্যার
Somebody say,
এমপ্লয়ি এইখানে স্যার আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল স্যার এমপ্লয়ি নিয়ে স্যার
okay.
স্যার অনেক কোম্পানি তাদের ম্যাক্সিমাম কোম্পানি তাদের কিছু স্পেসিফিক এমপ্লয়ীদেরকে কিছু স্যালারি দেয় যেটা কোম্পানি কেউ জানে না এবং কোম্পানির কোথাও কোম্পানির ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল স্টেটমেন্টে সেটা আসে না।
Okay.
ওই কেসটা অডিটর হিসেবে একজন অডিটর কি কি মেনটেন করলে ধরতে পারে? হাউ ইট ইজ পসিবল?
Okay, that is a different issue.
বা তারা যেভাবে ওই এক্সট্রা স্যালারিটা দেয় যেটা কোম্পানির এফএস এর বাইরে থাকে, ওই এক্সট্রা অ্যামাউন্টটা তারা আর্ন করে আবার তো এক্সট্রা সোর্স থেকে, ওই সোর্সটা আমরা কিভাবে ধরবো যেটা এফএস এ থাকে না?
So the question is very difficult.
স্যার আমি আপনাকে করেছি কারণ আপনি স্যার প্রফেশনাল বডিতে অনেক সিনিয়র, ওই জন্য আমি আপনাকে এই কোশ্চেনটা করছি স্যার। কিভাবে এটা স্যার ধরতে পারি?
Okay.
কোন সিস্টেমে গেলে স্যার এটা ধরতে পারবো?
Okay, you can detect it, but in that case, you will have to spend the whole year in auditing one company. You understand what I mean?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
So if you want to conduct an audit into a company,
Yes.
how long will you spend there? That is, how much time will you spend?
Yes, sir.
Maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months, something.
Actually, স্ট্যাটিউটরি অডিট তো এত লং সময় ধরে করা হয় না, 2 মাস, 1.5 মান্থ, ম্যাক্সিমাম 3 মান্থ, যার জন্য আমরা হয়তো এতটুকু যাইতে পারবো না।
So if you cannot spend time there, how can you detect all these issues? Can you detect all those issues? And whenever you write a report, that is audit report, what you write at the bottom of the audit report? I have conducted the audit to the best of my knowledge and effort, and on the basis of the information provided to me by the company. So the information has been provided to you by the company, and on the basis of the information provided to you, you have conducted the audit. So for example, the company has got 10 accounts, bank accounts, number 10, numbering 10. And
Yes,
he
sir.
has showed you that I have got 5 accounts only. And these are the 5 accounts maintained with different banks. And they did not mention about another 5 accounts. What could you do? If you find out the books, that means if
Yes.
you can detect something in the books, so you can understand that yes, there are some other accounts. But if they do not produce the books before you, or you cannot see all the books maintained by the company, might be there are 2 sets of accounts maintained by the company. One set of account is for auditors, another set of account is for themselves. So when the set of account will be produced before you, that means as you are a chartered accountant or an auditor, that's why they will produce the specific set of accounts. In that case, what shall you do? You cannot do anything.
ওই ক্ষেত্রে আমি তাদের কাছ থেকে রিটার্ন কনফার্মেশন নিব, বোর্ড অফ যারা এটা দোজ চার্জ অফ বোর্ড, সেখান থেকে আর ম্যানেজমেন্ট, সেখান থেকে আমি কনফার্মেশন নিব যে তাদের কয়টা ব্যাংক অ্যাকাউন্ট আছে। রিটার্ন কনফার্মেশন,
Yes, you can do that. They will write down that I have got the company.
আমি তাদের মিটিং মাইনরস দেখব, সেখানে তাদের কি কি ছিল, বা যে জায়গাগুলো তারা আমার কাছে হাইড করতে পারে, বাট মেজর একটা পোরশন, সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমি বোর্ড অফ ডিরেক্টর থেকে হেল্প নিব।
Yes, of course, that you can do. And they will write down that, yes, we have got 5 accounts only, and those 5 accounts have been produced before you. Or they will say that, okay, our sale was taka 50 crores, and 50 crores have been shown in the bank accounts, and there is no other sale. And all the sales are supported by bank accounts. So if they say like that, but if they maintain
Yes.
some cash sales, say for example,
Yes.
part of the sale was made through cash, so that was not reflected in the bank account.
Yes.
Then what you can see,
হ্যাঁ, যখন ক্যাশ সেল করবে, ক্যাশ সেল করলে সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমি বায়ারের কাছ থেকে কনফার্মেশন নেব।
okay, so if they do not show you the cash sale, so how can you just get the confirmation from the buyers? How you know that these are the buyers of this?
It's not possible.
So that's why it is not possible, and you have to act on the basis of the information provided to you by the company. It's really difficult. That's why I have asked you how long or how much time you will spend in auditing the accounts of the company. If you spend the whole year
100% information collection is not possible in a limitation time.
Exactly so. So that's why it's really difficult for you to get all the information, and you have to depend on them. So that's why there is always a lapse. So you cannot do that. আর একটু লাগবে সময়, এবং আপনি যেতে পারেন তাহলে
না থাকি দিতে 10 মিনিট
না, আপনার যদি মনে করেন গেলে ভালো তাহলে যেতে পারেন।
না আসুন না
So we were discussing the definition of an employee.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Why definition of an employee is necessary? Definition of an employee is necessary to know for income tax purposes, because an employee in relation to a company includes the managing director or any other director or other person who, irrespective of his designation, performs any duties or functions in connection with the management of the affairs of the company. So designation does not matter. He might be the managing director, he might be the finance director, he might be the deputy managing director, or he might be the manager. Whoever he is, if he performs a function in connection with the management of the affairs of the company, in that case, he will be treated as employee. Why? This definition has been given here. Can you find out the reason why the definition of employee is set here? The definition of an employee is given here because of the reason that the income tax department will be issuing notice to the company. And to whom the notice should be served? To the managing director or deputy managing director or somebody else. The managing director may be away from the company. He might be going abroad for business purposes. So the department has to wait for him to come to Bangladesh and to serve the notice on him. That is not actually possible for some time or always. So that's why, in the absence of the managing director, the notice could be served on the deputy managing director or on the finance director or on the manager, whoever he is, and the person who performs the functions of management of affairs of the company. In that case, it will be treated that the notice has been served on the company. And maybe the notice says to appear before the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes for hearing. So that is the case why the definition of employee is very necessary. When come to the definition of fair market value, what is fair market value? The fair market value is also necessary for some purposes because you need to calculate the capital gain sometimes. And as I told you before, that the asset should be a capital asset, but capital asset could be disposed of at an amount, at a figure. And this is the sale value. Whether that value is the appropriate figure or proper figure or not, that is a matter of consideration. So somebody says
Sir,
that
please, sir, capital assets disposal. এই জায়গাটা নিয়ে স্যার আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল. If you feel free, I can say you this question, but out of taxes. If you permitted me, I can say.
Okay, tell me.
Sir, আমি একটা কোম্পানি একটা রেফ্রিজারেটর পারচেজ করেছে 50,000 টাকা দিয়ে। সে কন্ডিশন ছিল সে 5টা ইনস্টলমেন্টের মাধ্যমে সেটা পেমেন্ট করবে এবং 5 মাসে। তার এস্টিমেটেড লাইফ ছিল 5 ইয়ার্স। সে 3টা ইনস্টলমেন্ট পেমেন্ট করার পর বাকিটা সে পেমেন্ট করছে না এবং বায়ার তার কাছ থেকে সেটা নিয়ে গেছে। ওই ক্ষেত্রে আমি ডেপ্রিসিয়েশন করেছি হচ্ছে 2500 টাকা আর আমার ইনস্টলমেন্ট দিয়েছি হচ্ছে 30,000 টাকা। তো আমার থাকে হচ্ছে 27,500 টাকা। এই 27,500 টাকা আমি কিভাবে ডিসপোজ করব?
That is accounting issue, not income tax issue.
স্যার আমি বলেছি স্যার আউট অফ ইনকাম ট্যাক্সেস। স্যার এটা এই একটু বাইরের কোশ্চেন ছিল, আমি আগে পারমিশন নিয়ে নিয়েছি।
Yes, that is accounting issue.
Yes, sir.
No, here you should see something different because you are purchasing one asset, maybe refrigerator, fine. So when you are purchasing the refrigerator, you have paid money, maybe partial money you have paid, but full money you could not pay.
Yes.
But you got the services for a certain period of time.
Yes.
Out of that figure, that is whatever you spend, you got the services. And afterwards, the asset was not yours, rather it was taken back by the company.
Right.
Okay. So now, what question may arise? You bought the refrigerator, spend certain amount of money. So you bought it out of something. That means you're earning. So your earning was taxed, of course, because you submitted returns showing your salary, income, etc.
Yes, sir.
So your income from salary was taxed, and out of the income of salary, you actually paid for the purchase of the refrigerator. So you paid and you received service for some time, but you could not enjoy it for the total period of the longevity of the refrigerator. So that's a different thing. But you paid money, you got services. So I believe your investment was okay. From the legal point of view, it was okay. There was no problem with that. But here you should see one thing. When the asset was taken over by the company,
Yes.
whether title to the asset was yours or not, it was not yours, because title of the asset was not handed over to you since it did not pay back the full amount of the money. You are
Yes.
supposed to pay in installments. So that's the total title of the refrigerator was not handed over. So you are not the owner of the asset. So you can say that I spend some money, that is an expenditure, of course, monthly expenditure or yearly expenditure, for receiving some services from the company. That's all. Refrigeration services you got from the company, you paid for it. But the asset was not yours. You did not own the asset.
ইয়েস স্যার, আমার কোশ্চেন হচ্ছে অ্যাসেট তো এখন আমার না, বাট আমি তো অ্যাসেটের এগেইনস্টে মেজর একটা পোরশন এক্সপেন্স করে ফেলেছি, সেটা আমি কিভাবে ডিসপোজাল দেব? ওইটা আমি কি নামে ডিসপোজাল দেব? যে ২৭,৫০০ টাকা আমার থাকে, ওইটা আমি ডিসপোজালটা কি লস হিসেবে দেব? আর লস তো আমি জানি যে সেল না করলে লস হয় না, আমি তো এটা সেলও করে নাই, তাহলে ওই ক্ষেত্রে আমার এটা কিভাবে ডিসপোজাল দেব?
You paid for services. You paid for services means, say for example, you are renting a house, you are living in that house, you are receiving the service of accommodation. So what you are doing, you are paying rent to the landlord for your accommodation. So you are showing the expenditure for accommodation. Now you will say, this is my expenditure for receiving refrigeration services. This is your expenditure, not your asset.
No,
This is a legal
not my
expenditure.
asset present.
This is not your asset. You just receive the services.
Yes, sir.
Okay for you? I understand
Thank you.
this.
Thank you, sir. ট্যাক্সের
welcome.
বাইরে গিয়ে সব
Because-
কোশ্চেন করলাম স্যার। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
It's all right. Because you have got no other option but to do this.
ওকে স্যার।
Yeah. Okay. So we are discussing fair market value. Fair market value means you need to know the price of the product. Price of the product means the sale value of the product, but sometimes the sale value of the product is not proper or appropriate. So that's why in order to calculate the capital gain, you need to know the fair market value. Say for example, Mr. X is saying that I have sold out my apartment at Taka 2 crores. But you have to see as the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes that the date on which the property was sold, that means the apartment was sold, what was the market price of that apartment? If the apartment was offered to the public on that particular day in the market, how much could it fetch from the public? That is the matter of consideration. So if you think that it could fetch not 2 crores of taka, rather it could fetch 2 crores 50 lakhs of taka or 3 crores taka, in that case, the fair market value of the apartment could be 3 crores or 2 crores 50 lakhs. And you could calculate the capital gain taking into account the fair market value of the apartment at taka 3 crores. And that is why it is necessary to calculate the fair market value. And you should do it, and you have to ask the people what was the price of that property on that particular day, or whatever, what was the market price of the property on a particular day. Or you can see the record of the price of a particular commodity. That means at what price a particular commodity was sold in the market in that year. So that you have to determine. That is what we actually would like you to know or understand. Then another definition is firm. What is a firm? You understand what a firm is? Firm is a partnership firm. Partnership firm means it is regulated and it is formed under the Partnership Act 1932. So whenever a firm is established under the Partnership Act 1932, it is a firm. And generally, at least 2 people are needed in a firm, and you can have 20 persons at best in the firm. So the minimum number of partners in a firm is 2, and the maximum number of partners in a firm is 20. So that is the general provision of a firm under the Partnership Act 1932. And if you want to know the definition of a partnership firm, it means that it is a relation or relationship between the persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business carried on by all or any one of them acting for all. It means that this is a relationship between the persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business. That means there would be an understanding to share the profits of a business. And that business could be carried on by all of the partners or by one of the partners on behalf of other partners. So that is the definition of partnership. And it's still under the Partnership Act 1932. And next definition could be income. What is an income? Income, as you understand, it could be profit, it could be gain, or it could be something which is chargeable to tax. So wherever you have a receipt means it could be gain, it could be profit. So, and that receipt is chargeable to tax. In that case, it will be treated as income. One important thing is that a loss could also be treated as income, because loss is also a profit, but it is a negative profit. So it comes through the operation of the business. Whenever the expenditure is more than the profit, it is loss, or it is through operation. And in 1 year, the company can earn profit, and in another year, the company can earn loss. But both profit and loss are treated as income. And the receipt, generally it could be revenue receipt on which tax is imposed. So that's why revenue receipt is always, profit. But sometimes capital receipt is also taxed, but generally not. So whenever the income tax ordinance provides that a capital receipt will be taxed, then it is to be taxed. So that's why you have to differentiate between the capital receipt and the revenue receipt. Whenever you get a receipt as a gift, say for example, from your father, from your mother, that gift is not to be taxed because this is a capital receipt. But revenue receipt, it is always taxed. And next definition could be interest. Interest, you know very well that whenever you are taking a loan or you borrow money from the bank, you have to pay interest. That means the service charge, or you can say that is the cost of capital. Some banks say that it is our service charge, not interest. Mainly the Islamic bank, they say that we do not receive any interest from the clients, rather we receive some service charges for providing the loan to the customers or to the clients. But all of them are treated as interest. as per Income Tax Ordinance 1984. And then come to another definition, which is market value. This is not very important, market value. So the value at which the agricultural produce or any other produce could be sold out in the market on a particular day. That could be the market value of the product. But market value could be product is the value from which other expenditures would be deducted in order to arrive at the profit. So the value of rice could be determined first, and afterwards the cost of production of rice could be deducted. In that case, you will receive the profit. So that's the general way of calculating profit from a particular commodity. Then come to the definition of perquisite. Perquisite, it is your source of income, of course, and it's not your salary, it's not your bonus, it's not your festival allowance, it's not your advance salary, or it's not your arrear salary, it's not medical allowance or any other allowance, but it could be something else. What is that? It has got some specific feature. It means that it could be in monetary form or in any other form. That means any benefit, whether convertible into money or not, provided to an employee by an employer, called by whatever name, other than contribution to a recognized provident fund, approved pension fund, approved gratuity fund, and approved superannuation fund. So these are not treated as perquisite because employer can contribute to the provident fund. Employer can contribute to the gratuity fund, whatever it is, but those will not be treated as, perquisite. So what perquisite should be? The perquisite should be monetary benefit or non-monetary benefit, which is convertible into money. Say, for example, the payment of your telephone, which is kept in the residence, and that is your personal telephone. And if the bill of the personal telephone is given by the employer, that should be treated as your perquisite because you are supposed to pay your bill of the telephone since it is your personal telephone and you are using it for your personal purposes. But the bill is actually paid by the employer. So that's why this will be treated as perquisite. So for example, your children are studying in a school and the tuition fees is paid off by the company where you are working. So that is the benefit you are receiving from the employer, but the payment is not for your service in the company. Rather, you are supposed to pay the tuition fee of your children yourself, but you are not paying it yourself. Rather, your employer is paying it off on your behalf. So it is your perquisite, which should be taxed. Since you got the benefit from your employer, that is your perquisite. So that is the definition of perquisite. And then let us see the definition of person. We discussed person before, and a person, it has got an inclusive definition. And the definition is that the person includes a person, an individual, a company, a firm, an association of persons, body corporate, a local authority, an artificial juridical person, a fund, etc., etc. So all these are actually persons. So in income tax, if we say person, it does not mean that it is an individual. Rather, it could include anything, including artificial juridical person. And then profits in lieu of salary. It is very important for you to know because profits in lieu of salary, it has got some characteristics. So for example, your contract. You are working with a company and you have got a contract or agreement, and you have been terminated from your service. And at the termination, you have been given a compensation. And that compensation, when you are receiving, would be treated as profit in lieu of salary. You have got a contract and the conditions of the contract have been changed. So because of the change of the conditions in the contract, you have some losses, or you are not making the same profit or similar profit as you did in the past. So the company is offering you a compensation because of the modifications in the conditions. So whenever the company is trying to provide you a compensation money for the modifications of the conditions in the contract, in that case, this would be treated as profit in lieu of salary. So that will be taxed. And again, whenever you are an employee of a company and you have received some money from the provident fund at the time of your retirement, the amount that you have received from the provident fund, you have to calculate one thing, whether you have received the money which consists of your contribution to the provident fund and the interest accrued thereon. So whatever you have contributed to the provident fund and whatever interest has been accrued on the amount you have deposited, if you receive more than that amount, in that case, the additional amount will be treated as your profit in lieu of salary, which will be taxed. But if it is equivalent to the contribution made by you to the provident fund and the interest accrued thereon, then it will not be treated as profit in lieu of salary. So that you have to remember. Then recognized provident fund, we discussed this before, because a provident fund, whenever you form, it should be approved by the Commissioner of Taxes and the National Board of Revenue, because you are submitting it before the Commissioner of Taxes, and then he will forward it to the National Board of Revenue for approval purposes. So this is actually as per provision of Part B of the first schedule of the Income Tax Ordinance 1984. Then another important position is resident. A resident is very important for you to understand who a resident is and who is not. Resident is not the same thing as, citizen. A citizen of a country is different from the concept of being a resident. A foreigner could be a resident in Bangladesh, but he cannot be a resident. And a Bangladeshi can become a resident of Bangladesh or can become a non-resident of Bangladesh. It depends on the stay or period of stay of the particular person in Bangladesh. So generally you have to know that in the income year, an individual has to stay in Bangladesh for a period of 182 days or more. That is the first condition. But if a person who cannot stay in Bangladesh in the income year for 182 days or more, but he stays here for a smaller period. So for example, he stayed in Bangladesh for 100 days only in an income year. So whether he can become a resident of Bangladesh or not. Yes,
he can't be resident. Sir, ওয়ান ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ইয়ারে যদি সে 182 দিন বা 180 দিন কমপ্লিট না করে, তাহলে তো সে রেসিডেন্স না।
182 দিন, 182 days. If he does not complete 182 days in an income year, he is not a resident. But you may be asked, a person who did not stay in Bangladesh for 182 days, whether he could become a resident or not. What would be your answer? If you say no, that the answer is incorrect. Answer is not
Yes.
correct.
বাট
Why?
সে যদি প্রিভিয়াস ইয়ারে যদি আরো 90 ডেজ থেকে থাকে এবং কারেন্ট ইয়ারে যদি সে আরো 100 ডেজ থাকে তাহলে তো সে রেসিডেন্স।
No, the condition is in the relevant income year, he has to stay for a period of 90 days or more. Having previously been in Bangladesh for 365 days or more during 4 years preceding that income year.
Oh yes sir.
Means in the income year, he has to stay at least for 90 days or more. And then during the 4 years preceding that year, he has to stay in Bangladesh or had to stay in Bangladesh for 365 days or more. So if that condition is fulfilled by him, in that case as well, he will be treated as a resident. Okay?
Yes sir. সে 4 ইয়ার্স যদি 365 ডেজ থাকে বাট কোন ফাইনান্সিয়াল ইয়ারে যদি সে 90 ডেজ এর নিচে থাকে এবং কোন ফাইনান্সিয়াল ইয়ারে যদি সে 90 ডেজ এর উপরে থাকে, টোটাল
Yes.
যদি সে 365 ডেজ থাকে তাহলেই হবে নাকি?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe during the 4 years, he stayed only 1 day in Bangladesh in 1 year. But in another 3 years, he stayed 364 days. So during the 4
Applicable.
years, he stayed for 365 days and he fulfills the condition. So that's why he would be treated as a resident. No problem.
Yes sir.
Okay. So for other persons, for Hindu undivided family, firm, or other association of persons, the control and management of whose affairs is situated wholly or partly in Bangladesh, India. So for association of persons or Hindu undivided family or firm, the management of their affairs should be located in Bangladesh, partly or wholly. So in that case, they would be treated as resident. And again, in the case of a Bangladeshi company or any other company, the control and management of whose affairs is situated wholly in Bangladesh in that year. So the management of the company has to be situated wholly in Bangladesh in order to become a resident. And maybe a local authority or any other artificial juridical person, this is always in Bangladesh because local authority is administered by the local government of Bangladesh. So that's why it is always resident here. And also in case of a trust, fund, or entity, the control and management of whose affairs is situated wholly in Bangladesh in that year. So in case of a trust, the management should be wholly situated in Bangladesh, not partly. So these are the conditions for being resident in case of persons. And again, let us see the definition of salary. Salary includes any pay or wages, annuity or pension or gratuity, fees, commission, allowance, perquisites, or profits in lieu of or in addition to salary or wages, an advance of salary, an arrear of salary, and a leave, encashment, etc. All these are actually included in salary. And the speculation business, you see, this is also important for you to remember. When there is a sort of risk in a particular type of business, and when you are doing it for windfall profit. Say, for example, you are keeping some shares with you and you are keeping it for 1 month in order to sell them out after 1 month in order to gain some profit, windfall profit. So it would be treated as a speculation business because there is always a sort of risk involved in it. And generally, it happens like this. The actual transfer of the goods or commodities do not take place. Rather, the scripts are transferred, or scripts sometimes not transferred, but it is sold out. So this type of business, you can say that these are speculation businesses. But whenever you are in contract with a particular person to receive a supply of raw materials, in order to sell your products as a final product to another person in another country or in another part of the country. In that case, you have done it in order to protect yourself from fluctuations in prices. Say, for example, you are a garment manufacturer and you have reached an agreement with a trader of cotton. And the contract is that he will supply the cotton to you at a particular price for the next 2 years, and the price will not change. So why have you done it? You have done it in order to supply the final product, that means the ready-made garment, to another trader. That means a trader in Europe. So why you have done it? You have done it because of the protection from fluctuation in prices. So that's why this will not be treated as a speculation business, but you have done it because of your protection against the price fluctuations. And next, we can come to the tax day. Tax day, 30th day of November, that is a tax day. And by that day, you have to submit the return, individual return. This 30th day of November gives you some benefits because you can avail of the self-assessment scheme. If you submit the return under the self-assessment scheme, in that case, you will not be served a notice in order to appear before the DCT for hearing. So you can calculate your own income and you can calculate the tax on the income you have earned, and you can pay the taxes directly to the government exchequer, and the receipt will be given to you at the time of submission of the return, and that receipt will be treated as your assessment order. So that is the benefit you are having out of submission of your return on the tax day or before the tax day. You can submit the return on the 1st day of July even, but the last day of submission of the return is the tax day on the 30th day of November. However, you can get it extended by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes for 2 months. And again, you can also get it extended for another 2 months with the approval of the Joint Commissioner of Taxes. So that is all about the tax day. And then another definition is transfer. Transfer is also needed because a transfer should take place in order to calculate the capital gain. So if there is no transfer, there is no capital gain. So in relation to capital asset, transfer is very necessary. It includes the sale, exchange, or relinquishment of the asset or the extinguishment of the right therein. So it should be exchanged, it could be transferred, or it could be relinquishment of the asset or extinguishment of the right. All these are actually transfer. But if there is a transfer under gift, bequest, or will, then it will not be treated as a transfer. When there is the distribution of the assets of the company to its shareholders on its liquidation, when there is a liquidation, it will not be treated as transfer. And distribution of capital assets on the dissolution of the firm or other association of persons, or on the partition of the Hindu undivided family. So if there is a distribution of assets among the members of the Hindu undivided family or members of the association of persons or firms on the dissolution of the HUF or AOP or any firm, in that case, those distributions will not be treated as transfer of assets. So I believe we have covered the definition chapter and terminologies. So please look at the definition chapter well, and you can go through all those, because whenever you are going deep into the other chapters, you need to understand what the concept is all about. So that's why this is necessary for you.
Sir, Park-users নিয়ে একটা question. Sir, this benefit as provided employer or company, can we say it like salary?
Yes, salary, of course. Whenever you are receiving a benefit as
Yes.
perquisite, it will be treated under section 21. That is, income from salary would be calculated under section 21. And salary includes perquisites or profit in lieu of salary. All these are included in salary.
স্যার ট্যাক্সের যে পোরশন গুলো স্যার বাজেটের সাথে এডিশন হয় সেগুলো স্যার আমরা কিভাবে পড়বো বা কিভাবে কোথা থেকে কালেক্ট করব?
Yes, of course, there is a part of the budget which is related to income tax, VAT, and customs duty. And in that case, you will see the Finance Act. Finance Act has been published, and you will see the Finance Act in the law book shop. You can go to the law book shop in the New Market area or Nilkhat area. You will buy one Finance Act. If you can buy one Finance Act, you will see the changes in the Finance Act. Or in the class as well, you can ask the teacher, your regular teacher, who can
Yes,
give
sir.
you some ideas about the changes in the Finance Act, that is Income Tax Ordinance. So whatever changes have been made under the Finance Act, those will be inserted in the Income Tax Ordinance. So if you want,
Thank you, sir.
I can also give you some idea about it in the next class. Okay.
স্যার মাঝে মধ্যে স্যার আমাদের ক্লাস নিয়েন স্যার, ভালো লাগে স্যার আপনার ক্লাস।
Thank you very much. I take your class just out of curiosity, nothing else, because I have got many tasks to do. So I do not find any time to take the classes. It's difficult for me, really. Oh, but it's
Yes, sir.
very good to talk to you. And thank you very much for your attention and attendance. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.